Semi-trailers. The reason, our equipment is maintained to rigid standards and engineered for optimum performance and durability. This video demonstrates the TIP-approved methods for completing a trailer inspection. It is important for you to understand that the procedures described and detailed in this tape represent what we expect to become your routine. An accurate inspection helps us to provide trouble-free equipment while building customer loyalty. It also protects us from unnecessary financial losses and serves as legal documentation if required. While an outbound inspection enables us to make sure that the trailer is in green tagged condition, it's our inbound procedures that will identify problems which require attention, including maintenance items as well as customer-related damages. To complete a proper inbound inspection, you will need to obtain the following items: a copy of our standard lease agreement, or SLA, a clipboard with a rubber band around the bottom, a tread depth gauge, a ballpoint pen, a rag to clean the sight glass on the hubcap and to check the oil levels, and a tire pressure gauge. You'll also need a red or green tag to indicate the results of your inspection. If it is raining, remember to use a photocopy of the SLA and transfer the information to the original before the driver signs the document. You will also need TIP's Federal Annual Inspection Form, form number MS9002, and the TIP Brake Inspection Template. Keep these items handy so you can perform a federal annual inspection if the unit requires one. Now we will demonstrate the steps we expect to be performed in order to complete a proper inbound inspection. Ask the driver to assist you by turning on all the lights and flashers. Also, have him apply the brakes when appropriate. Moving to the left front corner of the trailer, verify the unit number and serial number and make sure they match the registration information on the SLA. Check the front for damages to the panels and posts, the nose rail, and the corner caps. Look over the light assemblies. Each should be lit with unbroken yellow lenses. Check the glad hands and electrical connections to verify that there is no damage. If you are inspecting a refrigerated trailer, this would be the appropriate time to start the reefer unit and let it run before checking it later on. You must always start and run reefer units whenever a trailer enters or leaves the yard. The next area to evaluate is the left side of the trailer. Step back and look over the entire side for any visible damage. By doing this, damages can be detected that are often overlooked when you are too close. Now, move toward the unit for the side inspection. Review the landing gear assembly for straightness. Look for cracks or damage to the braces, mounting assemblies, ears, or sand shoes. Check both in high and low gear for ease of operation, and make sure the crank handle is operable, has the proper length, and still has a locking holder in which to house the handle. Next, you will need to stoop and look under the trailer to check the cross members above the landing legs. Closely examine the first 4 cross members and note any damage caused by a tractor missing the kingpin hookup. Next, pay attention to the rails, side panels, posts, and lights. When looking over the rails, evaluate for any cuts, bends, or cracking, particularly at the top of the rail flange. Check for improper repairs, such as welding by the customer or an improper rail section. Any cut in the rail will create a notch defect. Here's an example of an improper repair. In an attempt to fix a crack on the bottom rail, the customer has riveted a 12-inch splice plate to it. This repair does not meet TIP requirements because the splice is too short, so it must be redone. It is important that you become familiar with TIP repair specifications as noted in the Technical Aid Manual available at your branch. The guidelines outlined in this manual are to ensure consistent levels of repair performance by both outside services and TIP personnel. These guidelines were established to maintain the quality of TIP equipment and should be kept in mind during a trailer inspection. The next area to be covered is the running gear. Items here are often overlooked because they are hidden and difficult to visually check. After going over the cross members, look at the slider rails for straightness, cracking, or any improper repairs. Make sure that the stopping blocks are in place. Look at the slider pins to be sure they are engaged with the slider rail and that the pin locking mechanism operates properly. Next, review the condition of the brake air lines for any signs of cracking or looseness. Go to the radius rods and check for tightness by shaking them. Look for any broken springs or U-bolts and evaluate the spring hangers for unusual side wear, which would indicate loose suspension components. Listen for any indications of air leaks from the air tank, valves, brake chambers, and lines. Inspect the brake linings for any signs of cracking or unusual wear. The linings must be replaced if they are below 5/16 of an inch at the center of the shoe. Ensure that the drums are not cracked, scored, or broken. Be extremely careful of hot brake drums and make sure the driver does not apply his brakes during this part of the inspection. Also, check the mud flaps and brackets for any damage. The trailer should have TIP anti-sail flaps installed. Any other type of flap must be noted for removal and rebilling. Next, we're ready to look at the tires on the left side. Check the SLA to make sure they are the same brand name as indicated on the outbound inspection. You should make sure that the tire sizes are all the same. 10 by 20s should not be mixed with 11 by 22.5s, nor should radials be mixed with bias ply tires. Record the tread depths and determine whether there is any excessive or uneven tread wear. Tread depth readings should be taken at the valve stem in the center row of the tread if possible. Also, use your gauges to check for proper inflation. Manually check the valve stem retainers, the valve caps, all lug nuts, and cleats for tightness. Next, look at the hubs for proper oil levels. Check for any leaks from the front wheel seals and wipe the sight glass on the hubcaps. An oil level at 5 to 7 o'clock is appropriate. Next, walk back to the rear of the trailer and check the doors. If it is a swing door trailer, check the locking bars and lock handles, hinges, holdbacks, upper and lower keeps, door skin, and moldings. If it is a roll door trailer, check the rollers, hinges, handle and catch, cables, pull-down strap, and the door panels for any damage. Also, check the door track for damage and lubrication. Raise and lower the door for ease of operation. Check the rear frame and header and ICC bar. Go over the rear lighting. All lenses must be red. This is also the proper time to match the license plate with what is indicated on the SLA. Make sure the sticker on the plate is current. While the doors are open, get up into the trailer itself. Walk to the front, inspecting the floor as you go. Pay special attention to the floor area above the landing gear and kingpin assembly, which may be pushed up into the floor. Look over the top front rail and adjacent roof area for any evidence of inside damage or looseness. Inspect the roof, side rails, and roof bows while walking back to the rear of the unit. Evaluate the liner and scuff liner for any damages or excessive wear. If you're inspecting a refrigerated trailer, make sure the air is cool and flowing properly. At the rear, look at the inner side of the doors. If it is a roll-up type, have the driver close the door so you can check the roof and door operator. It is now time to step to the right side of the trailer to complete the same steps that were performed on the left. First, look over the tires and running gear. After completing that procedure, take a hub odometer reading. Step back from the right side of the unit and complete the same steps as were done on the left. You are again looking over the lights, rails, posts, skin, and cross members. Moving to the right front, inspect the radius corner. If this is a refrigerated trailer, this would be the time to inspect the reefer unit. Look at the gauges to see if they indicate proper operation. Record the hour meter reading from the elapsed time clock, which is used for billing the customer and measures the total time the unit's power has been on. After recording the clock data, check the water, battery, oil, and antifreeze levels. Also, check the fuel tank of the reefer unit and record the level in the notes section of your SLA form. Use the special instructions section for outbound inspections. Further information on the operation of various types of reefer units and their components can be obtained through the respective dealers or the TIP home office. If the unit has an interior roof lining, such as the reefer insulated vans and space vans, inspect the roof from the top. You'll need a ladder in order to do this inspection. If the trailer has a pintle hook, you need to look for any cracks in the pintle hook assembly, as well as any missing or ineffective fasteners. Also, check for any welded repairs which may affect the integrity of the assembly. The wear to the pintle hook horn should not be more than 20%. If you are inspecting a converter dolly, it should be disconnected from both trailers during an inbound inspection. Inspect the mounting of the fifth wheel onto the frame. Check for any missing or ineffective fasteners, as well as any damaged mounting brackets. There should be no cracks in the fifth wheel. Also ensure that there was proper latching. Next, check the safety chain for broken links and ensure proper chain to hook connection. Check for any cracks in the drawbar attachment welds and for any missing or ineffective fasteners. There should not be more than 20% wear on any part of the drawbar eye. Also, at this point, it may be appropriate to complete the process for a federal annual inspection. Whenever you're receiving a trailer that happens to be due for its federal annual inspection, you should also be prepared to fill out the Federal Annual Inspection Form number MS-9002. The only additional item that needs to be checked during a standard inbound inspection to meet this government requirement is a determination on whether or not the brakes need adjustment. So, with the help of the driver, this extra step should only take a few minutes. To determine whether or not brakes need adjustment, you will need to measure the applied stroke of the brake chamber push rod with either a ruler or the TIP brake inspection template. First, measure the distance from the face of the brake chamber or the chamber bracket to the center line of the clevis pin hole. Record this distance as measurement A. Next, have the driver apply the brakes while you again measure from the face of the chamber or bracket to the clevis pin center line. Record this distance as measurement B. The difference between measurement A and B is known as the applied stroke. If the applied stroke is less than 2 inches, then the brakes do not require adjustment. However, if the applied stroke equals or exceeds 2 inches, then the brakes will need adjustment and the trailer should be red tagged. To confirm proper brake adjustment, you may also want to do a quick check by trying to place the edge of the brake inspection template between the brake lining and the drum. If the brakes are properly adjusted, it should be difficult to make this fit. Also at this time, re-inspect the brake lining thickness with the brake inspection template and record the measurement on the SLA. Just place the template at the center of the brake shoe. If the lining is equal to or less than the 5/16 inch indicator, then the lining will need replacement and the trailer should be red tagged. Again, be extremely careful of hot brake drums and ensure that the wheels have been blocked so that the trailer doesn't move during your inspection of the brakes. If the brakes pass inspection and it is determined that no adjustment is needed, then ensure that the Federal Annual Inspection Form is completed and filed. Also, make sure that the inspection date is entered into the SIDS system and that a new decal is installed on the trailer. Refer to the Federal Annual Inspection Procedure in the Maintenance Policies and Procedures Manual at your branch for detailed instructions. Before completing your inspection, it is important to talk to the driver while the trailer is still hooked up to the tractor. Ask if the driver has noticed any problems, anything unusual that might not be picked up with the inspection. Has there been difficulty pulling the trailer at any time? Is there misalignment, slow releasing, poor brakes, or a poorly operating reefer unit? If there are any damages to the trailer that are the responsibility of the customer, it is important to be consistent in following the next set of steps. First, write all damage in the notes section of the SLA. Second, while the driver is still hooked to the trailer, you must contact the individual who is in the position of authority to approve repairs. When speaking to the customer, you have 3 options to offer. A, keeping the unit on rent and having it repaired by the customer to TIP specifications. B, keeping the unit on rent while TIP performs the necessary repairs and rebills the customer. Or, as a concession to a good customer, C, terminating the unit with damages allowing for an agreed number of days additional billing based on the technical aid manual and rebilling the customer for the repairs. If the customer selects either option B or C, you must record the full name and time the call was made in the notes section of the SLA. For a national account customer, you must refer to the National Account Directory for any special handling procedures. For any unit requiring maintenance and repair service, You must then place the top half of the red tag on the trailer. After the bottom portion has been filled out, it should be placed in the Cardex. An entry also needs to be made in the branch repair log. If no customer damage is found and there are no maintenance problems with the trailer, the green tag is placed on the unit. The mileage and reefer hour readings are to be compared to the entries on the last PM in the Cardex. This is necessary to properly schedule normal preventive maintenance. You have just observed the proper way to inspect a TIP trailer. By following these procedures, you will ensure that the trailer fleet you offer your customers will be in A1 condition. A proper trailer inspection is one of the most important contributions you can make to TIP's continuing success because you have a direct impact on the quality of our product.
In the next few